Yeah, the only thing is I don't see you, but that's okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I see your face
Uh,
whenever you're
what now?
talking. Um, now I see you.
All right.
Fantastic. Holy
All
shit.
righty.
Well,
Good
goddamn.
times. Good times.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah, no shit. What's funny because whoever's talking, it goes to their face, so then it ends up if like we're talking back and forth. That's really funny. I wonder if you can. I can.
Oh,
Let's see if I can adjust that in
oh,
controls.
is doing that for you?
Yeah, is it doing for you too, or
No,
no?
I just see you full screen, and I have a little
Let's see here.
corner
Adjust
window.
bandwidth. Let's see here. Let me check this out. Do, 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 do. Yeah, that's fine, dude. It won't drive me too nuts. I don't know how to change that. Let's see.
Um, hey, so you can. I think if you do the control room over on the left side,
Okay.
that mixer icon,
Okay.
you might be able to change that there.
Okay, so that just pops over on the right hand side. The control room just shows me and you, but
There's
that's
no
about it.
options,
No options there.
and there's no
Um,
options underneath settings for you.
um, no, just the camera
Huh?
to use and whatnot. But that's fine here. Let's see here. Turn camera off, microphone by people.
What about if you click on the little video thumbnail down at the bottom?
Let's see here. It just says hide from broadcast, present to everyone, mute.
Present to everyone, maybe.
Let's see here. You are presenting to everyone.
The, are you presenting? I don't see your bird out.
Yeah, exactly right. No, but it's saying it's
Greg's
got.
presenting.
I've whipped it out in front of everyone. I'm gonna stop presenting.
Is it is it still kicking back and forth?
Yeah, it's still kicking back and forth. Let's see here.
It's
Um,
funny.
yeah, let me see if I click on. It's weird because the control panel just brings up you and me, but nothing else in that weird screen share. Hold on, let me go here. Oh, here we go. Oh no, no, that's not it. Your entire screen. That's different. Um, chat. Let's see here. No. Okay. Control room. Oh, fuck it, dude. If you talk, you come on. That's fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah. We are
All
live.
right.
So I guess I should. I'm gonna tell you a secret, but I have an intro that I already recorded to introduce you. So then it goes into a breakdown of some Sean Cromwell music, and then it'll come up, and then you and I are talking.
Oh shoot. So we are already introed and on the air, huh? We're
Yeah,
already
that's right.
live.
That's right.
Well, good.
And I guess maybe what I'll say is I'll just start with like "Welcome back to Campfire Wisdom," and then we'll do a toast. How's that?
All right.
All right,
Well,
man.
do your thing.
All right. Welcome back to Campfire Wisdom, everybody. I'm here with my very good buddy Aaron Brewer, and Aaron, you are actually the first person that I'm podcasting with since I found out that I'm going to be a dad. So how about that?
Yeah, that was a big news yesterday. Hello, and thank you for having me on, Greg. I really appreciate it. I'm honored actually to be on this podcast. I'm
Well,
honored to partake in the wisdom.
amen, brother. Well, I think we should say that I'm bowing down to your wisdom now because this is our first Google Hangout one. So we're actually doing this over the computer, and I did not know how to do this. So you have taught me how to do this. So thank you for
Yes.
your wisdom here, sir.
Yes, I had to remember how to do this, and apparently they changed everything on YouTube. So you have to go through YouTube to start a Google Hangout, and we endured it together.
Amen, brother.
Uh,
Well,
for 30, actually an hour later, we're on. So good times. Now we both know how to do it.
exactly. There's always a set amount of time for troubleshooting. It's funny. He's last week.
Yeah.
He's like, "How long are you going to take?" And I was like, "Well, probably an hour if we get everything right." But anytime you do an endeavor like this, you always know you're going to run into some
Oh
type
yeah.
of
Yeah.
hiccup. You know?
Now, the last time I recorded a podcast was, I think, over a year ago now. I
Okay.
think it was something like last October, November. I can't even remember. My short-lived comic book podcast, The Comic Stew, which lasted 24 episodes. Uh, so that was the last time I did it, and at that time, Google Hangouts was all in full swing. It hadn't changed. So I may be. I don't want to reveal anything quite yet, but I may be starting up another endeavor that's going to be similar yet different.
Okay.
So this is actually very good practice for me, just getting back in the swing of things.
Okay. So we're knocking off some of the rust here
Yeah,
together.
yeah. But
Well,
it
cool,
is an
man.
honor to be on the first podcast that you're doing remotely, Greg. And
Yeah,
in your honor, I have lit a candle just so we have the open flame, which I believe is, kind of the spirit of the podcast, right? You've had an open flame at every podcast, I believe.
I love it, bro. That's fantastic. Yes, I have. And it's funny because I was talking a little bit about it. It's like, man, I haven't camped in a little while. I still have a few of the camping trips, cataloged and whatnot, but most recently I have been able to get out. So thank you for that, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you literally
I,
carrying the torch there.
oh, no problem. My pleasure. Yeah, I just listened to your podcast that you did at McGill solo, and I thought it was great because it's just you, I guess, in front of the campfire and talking some Native American wisdom.
Yeah, man. It's something nuts that only recently in the last year have I done like those solo trips. And a lot of it was born out of just having to like, man, I got to get away, but no one able to go. And then
Right.
I ended up actually really enjoying it. And it was actually like, I don't know, do you ever find moments like that where like solitude is like exactly what you needed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can remember being at my on my grandpa's farm, just watching the sun go down on the back porch, and just people inside, or not, or just sitting around quietly and just taking it in, and just, I don't know, just feeling the moment of just the beauty of the outdoors, and just surrounded by fields of crops, and it's just a great place. And yeah, I think sunsets on the farm are probably one of my favorite things.
That's cool, man. I gotta admit, dude, as much as I know you, and I consider that I know you pretty well, like there's probably as strong as our group is, there's very few times that we all interact like on a one-on-one basis, like where we really just like kind of get to know each other. And I know you, but at the same time, there's a lot that I don't know about your upbringing and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of know the bits and pieces, and I really think like yeah, I'm kind of curious about your experience because a lot of what I know about you, I consider you to be a very grounded dude. Part of the thing that I mentioned earlier is I think that you do a very good job of like finding ways to escape in a positive, healthy way. And
Hmm.
I think that's definitely a talent. And I think that's something that not everyone knows how to flex because a lot of times either you can do it too much or you don't do it at all. And if you don't do it all, you kind of end up being burnt out. If you did too much, you end up being burnt out either way. It's like riding that line is hard to do, you know?
Yeah, well, just going back to what you're saying about maybe not knowing, or not knowing things about me. Just for some background for anybody that's listening, we're all living out here in LA now, and when I say we all, a bunch of us, I would say a group of friends that came from Tucson. Basically, all of us came from Tucson, and we started a new life in LA, each doing our own thing. Some of us are now in the same industries, but some of us are doing just totally separate things. But we're all out here together, and and we've been out here for, pretty much all of us have been out here for over a decade now,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting and kind of crazy. And it's great for someone like me, because when I moved out here, um, I already had like a pre-built circle of friends in a new city, so it was very easy to integrate myself into the city. which, you know, for a city like LA can be hard. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm sort of a special case because going back to the Tucson days, I don't go back as far as people like Nick or Matt Alamina or some of our other friends do, because they all grew up together. Um, you know, and they'd known each other since like third grade or something.
Yeah.
And I actually met all these guys basically in college. We were all working at the same restaurant. Shout out to Texas Roadhouse uh, in Tucson, and yeah, we kind of met each other through that. And the first person I met is this guy named Nick, who I think has been on the podcast. I think he was on the last episode of the podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When we were up
Nick
at
of Nick and Marion.
yeah, when we were at
Yeah.
McGill, yeah.
Um, Yeah, so me and Nick, I think, met first, possibly, and then we did not like each other at first.
Yeah,
I, I,
interesting.
I thought Nick was kind of an asshole, and I think he thought I was kind of standoffish and whatever. But it was funny because two things kind of brought us together. One being hockey. We both found out that we each played hockey, and number two was comics.
Okay.
So yeah, those two things basically made us fast friends. So he was the first guy I met, and then I met some of his friends who became my friends, and you know, so we were basically in Tucson together working and stuff before the LA move for a couple years, and then we made the LA move. And but yeah, so my history before that goes back to growing up in a little town called Young, Arizona, aka Pleasant Valley. It's a little town in central Arizona in the mountains at like 5,000 feet elevation.
Okay.
And I grew up in a town of like 1,000 people.
Okay.
Uh, I graduated with 7 people. That was my senior graduating class. So I was coming from a really small town, and I moved to Tucson for college, and for me, that was a huge, massive, crazy, scary move because I'm going from a town of 1,000 people to what's Tucson, like 900,000, a million people.
Yeah, easily, especially counting like a lot of those outlying areas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and the great thing about Tucson though is for anyone that's been there, and you know, some people loathe Tucson. But I actually really enjoy Tucson, and I like the vibe of Tucson because to me, just having lived there for 5 years, um, it really does have a very small town vibe. And for you know, for a medium to large size city, it had a real small town vibe. So that really, I guess I didn't appreciate it until later on. You know, after when I moved to LA, I kind of appreciated like, wow, you know, it was kind of amazing that the city that I was at for a long time that made a big impression on me and made so many great connections that I still carry today was just really like the perfect stepping stone to being able to move out to LA, because it you know, it got me used to living in a city, but it wasn't just overwhelming. You know, it had that small town feel.
Okay.
So yeah, I was able to make the move to LA. Just, I mean, that was still scary, but it wasn't as bad as it obviously would have been if I moved straight there from Young.
Yep, absolutely. What do you think, like, knowing now, like living in Los Angeles and having come from Tucson, what do you are there things you miss? Like, tell me, obviously a lot of the things that I ponder right now is like the simplicity of life and trying to find the joys in like getting back to the basics. Um, and obviously now that I'm facing the reality of being a father, it's like I'd love to be able to provide a place for my children to like have land and grow up in a small field, you know, a small town and have that coziness, that like that I don't know, I guess that connection, that simplicity. But you came from that, and knowing where you're at now, like what do you miss about Young? What tell me about that?
Oh, I miss, you know, I miss, what do I miss about Young? There's a lot I miss about Young. Not enough that it would make me want to move back there, because I felt like when I lived there, it was the perfect time for me to live there at that point in my life. Um, growing up in Young was pretty much the best possible scenario, I think, for almost any kid to grow up. I mean, anybody like me, anyways, because it was just a very, peaceful, quiet, safe, relatively safe as far as crime. There's no crime. I guess the most dangerous thing was, maybe going and hiking in the woods and getting lost, or who knows, run into a pack of javelinas or something. That was that was about the extent of how dangerous it got out there. And I guess in the winter too, with some of the weather, because it would it'd snow and get pretty cold. Actually, one week we lost power for a full week. So
Wow.
fortunately, everyone out there is pretty. They're what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Pretty rugged.
They're individualists. They're self-sufficient. A lot of people out there, they're used to that. They're used to, if a road goes down, they have like food storage. Everyone has wells out there. Everyone has wood stoves. That's how they heat their houses.
Hmm.
So in the winter, when it was like, I think it was like 3 feet of snow or something outside, and we lost power. We had power down for a week, so we weren't going to school. And I remember actually we cooked our meals on the wood stove,
That's awesome.
which was pretty cool. And I was a voracious reader growing up, so I was actually like, I had really no problem with it, because we just read by candlelight at night, went sledding during the day, and we had plenty of food to last us, because we probably had at any one time like plenty of food for like a month. Like my
Wow.
mom would go on a big shopping trip to like either Payson or Phoenix, like probably once a month.
Okay.
So it wasn't even an issue. And the great thing about a town like Young is, if we were like short on food and we couldn't, like, because as I recall, I think we could get out, but we just had to have like some 4-wheel drive vehicles with chains and everything to get out on the roads. But so if we couldn't manage that, I mean, there was so many people, and just friends, and people in our church and stuff like that would have just been more than happy to share their food and just help everyone get by, because that really is one of the best parts about a town like that, is everyone kind of looks out for each other.
Okay.
That's kind of a blessing and a curse, because you definitely get taken care of if you need help, but you also know everything about everyone at all times.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of gossip that goes around, and it's a very small insular community, obviously, so it's there's good things and bad things. But to answer the original question, it was really, I think, one of the best ways to grow up, and I don't regret really anything about growing up there.
Yeah. What brought your parents out there? Like, and are they still there?
No, they're not. They actually moved to Tucson about a year after I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were looking to move at that point. But my dad is a teacher, and he moved. We actually moved out there from Texas. I moved to Young when I was 7, from Texas. My dad was teaching in Texas, and he got a job offer in Young, and we went.
Wow. What did he teach? Or what does he teach, rather?
Um, let's see. In Young, he was teaching 5th and 6th grade,
Okay.
and if you're wondering, yes, I was in his class,
Oh,
and
wow.
and
Okay.
yes, I did call him Mr. Brewer,
No shit.
just like everyone else.
That's so funny. Obviously, all the kids knew he was your dad.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Did you
yeah. It
get
was.
did you
I
get
got I got no, I got no special treatment.
no liberties whatsoever?
No, I mean, if anything, I think he was harder on me.
Yeah, okay.
I just didn't get, I didn't get to skate by. Like, he knew what I was doing, and you know, he knew if I was slacking. So
True. It's very true.
yeah, I didn't get to skate, but yeah. So my dad was a teacher, and just I think so. I was out there for like 12 years or something, and they're out there for 13 or 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, having that experience yourself, would you like would you want to provide that for your children? What do you think?
You know, it's interesting. I'm kind of in this place. Well, I'm in a place where, first off, I'm not exactly thinking about kids too much yet.
Yep.
Um, you know, I think I'm in a place you were probably whatever 10 years ago.
Yeah, I hear you.
About
I'm what, 43? You're what, 33 probably?
33. Yep. Uh,
Yeah, we're exactly
yeah,
10 years apart. How about that?
yeah, I know. Yeah, so I mean, it's something that's kind of always in the back of your mind. I'm kind of running into the quandary in my mind of, yeah, I would love to offer that for a kid if I ever have children. I would
Yeah.
love to offer that because I consider, you know, like I said, I consider how I grew up just one of the ideal ways to grow up. And I mean, I would even I would even be someplace like Tucson. I would even be more, you know, I would be interested in too. You know, like I think that was a pretty good place to grow up as well. Um, just having lived there for 5 years, and then my parents still live there, and they're raising my little brothers, and it seems like it's a pretty good spot. But what I'm running into is the quandary I have is I'm kind of just thinking like, well, I don't know what else I would really do. I've kind of established a career for myself in the entertainment industry out here,
Mhm.
and you know, there's not I don't think there's not a whole lot of other places that I could ply my trade, so to speak. And you know, the places I could do that are you know, someplace like New York, which isn't exactly you know, wholly different environment and better environment for kids necessarily. So um, yeah, it's something that I guess I'm starting to think about and grapple with, but it does make me wonder. You know, it would probably take a wholesale career change for me to really consider moving.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And it's funny because it's like the further I get along, I realize that there's ways to try to incorporate parts, like the good parts of that simplicity. And I guess that's kind of what I try to wrestle with. Like, okay, how can I make the experience that whatever is created as quality, as simplified as possible, and at the same time maybe providing that small town feel. Like for example, there's a lot of really cool towns on the outskirts of Los Angeles where you can get a cool feel, or like
Yeah.
even it feels very different here in Rancho Cucamonga, even from living in LA. And
Oh
actually,
yeah.
this is kind of crazy, but tomorrow will be 1 year that I've actually lived out in Rancho. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and I love it out here, man. It's like it almost has that, dare I say, a Tucson feel to it, because it's like you have, there's a little bit of small feeling to it, but there's still something bigger going on. So it kind of feels like you are the Tucson to the Phoenix a little bit,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
relationship.
I can see that.
Yeah, but
And
there's more
you
access.
got the mountains around it,
Totally.
right? Yeah.
Dude, I could be
It's
in
very
Big Bear
Tucson.
in about 45 minutes, and that's
Oh, that's great.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. As I'm sitting here, I was thinking about you cooking food on the stove, and I was just thinking about those hash browns, dude, that one
Oh
camping trip.
yeah,
How long did
man.
those fucking hash browns take? But they were
Oh,
fucking good. Don't get me wrong. They were.
they took forever. Yeah, I brought one of my favorite purchases of the last 5 years, my cast iron skillet, out to one of our camping trips and loaded that sucker up with potatoes and onions and I had to eventually just do, because the fire, it ended up getting so hot. I was just like dousing it with oil. I brought this like bottle of olive oil, and I think I used almost that whole bottle, which was, I'm sure, just about you know, 500 calories per bite by the end of it. But they
They
were
were
pretty
good
good,
though.
weren't they?
They were good, man. They were crispy. They were
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
They took forever to cook, but
they
remember,
did. Yeah.
even the crunchy shell that had stuck to the bottom of the cast iron,
Oh
once you
yeah.
chip that away, that was some gold right there too, man. Damn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got to go camping. I haven't been camped with you in a while, dude.
No, it's been a while. Yeah, I actually my girl wants to go. She had hardly ever camped before we started dating,
Okay.
and she's gone I think once or twice. I think twice since we've been
Okay.
dating, and she loves it. So yeah, I'm actually taking her to Young
No
for
shit.
Christmas break. So
What's up
we're
in
not
what's up in
exactly
Young?
camping. We're going to be staying at a cabin out there with my friend's parents that own it, but it's going to be the next closest thing to camping.
Okay. You're taking her back to your hometown.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a couple years since I've been back there, and I've just wanted to go, and uh, she was interested in checking it out because she's heard so much about it. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the plan. Just for a couple days, we're gonna head to Tucson, escape for a couple days, go up there, see if we're gonna have any snow up there, and then come back to Tucson and get back here before New Year's.
Nice, dude. What's
Yeah.
calling you back to Young?
Uh, well, you know, ironically, just telling the stories about Young. I kind of wanted to do that with my girlfriend and to just take her up there and tell her and show her what Young's all about. And not that there's like a ton going on up there, but I just think it's beautiful and kind of unique, and I thought she'd get a kick out of it.
That's cool, man. What's
Plus, there's some people I need to reconnect with up there too. 'Cause like I said, it has been a couple years.
Gotcha? Like some homies or you still have family up there?
Not really. Well, just like family friends, just people that I grew up just knowing, people that were in my church, and uh, I don't know, just people I know that I haven't just seen for a while.
Okay.
You know,
Cool,
and I
man.
want to do some hiking when I'm there too. There's this
Okay.
great mountain called Potato Butte. It like kind of overlooks all of Young, and there's like Indian ruins on the top. So that's a fun little day hike. So I'm gonna take the girl up there and take some pictures.
That's cool, man. Potato Butte.
Yeah.
You know what tribes are up there? That interests me.
I don't. I'll
That's so
have
cool.
to. I'll remember your question, and I'll ask my friend's parents who live there, and yeah, they'll definitely know
Okay.
the answer to that. Yeah,
I
my
feel like
brain's like a
it's
sieve, man. I probably knew that at one time, and it just went right out.
I want to say like Navajo because up in that area, that's where
Yeah, I think there's a good chance of that.
that's awesome.
And there's a few tribes that were in that area, so yeah, and there's like some little there's some there's little spots around the town you can go to learn about the history and stuff, and there's actually a pretty famous feud that happened out there, and I'm trying to remember the names of the families, and I can't, and this is terrible radio right now, but I'll have to I'll have to get back with you. It's kind of like it was one of the big things of the history of Young, and it was a pretty cool event. And I'm so mad at myself I can't remember who the families were, but yeah, like I said, that information just leaks out when I'm not using it.
I think if I'm looking, I just looked this up. It said the Pleasant Valley War. Does that sound
Yep,
familiar?
that was the event.
So it says like the Tewksbury is one
Oh yeah,
family.
the Tewksbury's, and what was the other one?
Let's see, and the Grahams.
Yeah, Tewksbury's and the Grahams. That's right.
They're
Man, that
both
brings back
livestock. They're livestock ranchers. I have to look
yeah
that up, man. That's
yeah that
cool.
brings back some memories. If I'm up there and I can I'm at the library, I'll see if there's any literature on that I can pick up, because they sell like little booklets on stuff like that, and I'll see if I can pick one up for you.
Dude, that's so funny because just on this little thing that I popped it said family feuds from history, and of course they have the famous one, oh God, hold on, it's loading here. I saw it, but it like you said, my brain's like a sieve here as well. But um, they're putting Graham Tewksbury's at the top, even above the McCormick, or what was the other one?
The
The
Hatfields
other
and McCoys.
Hatfield McCoys, dude. Above
Yeah,
that. That's
above it.
crazy.
Wow. Huh.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it was very bloody. I know that, and I can't remember all the details, but there was like I think several conflicts, and a lot of people were killed, and um, yeah,
That's crazy,
it's
man.
kind of well, it's kind of sad, but it is kind of one of Young's big calling cards.
Interesting. Did you know anyone from those families, like growing up?
Uh, there was a family named Graham in the town, and I can't remember. Geez, I cannot remember how they were, if and how they were related. Um, God, I'm just going back so far to even think about this stuff.
That's cool, dude. Now here, I'm gonna read it here. Before their feud started in the 1880s, the Graham and Tewksbury's, both livestock ranchers in Pleasant Valley, were actually friends and business partners. Granted, their business was stealing cattle from another rancher, so neither family was a pillar of their community from the start. But their
Uh,
falling out occurred in 1882 over stolen cattle and overgrazing of land by the Tewksbury sheep, who were also a point of contention. At the time, the feud resulted in the occasional fistfight or bout of name calling, but little more. Then things got violent when Thomas Graham shot a Tewksbury hired hand who had been herding sheep. In retaliation, Graham was shot by Ed Tewksbury, who immediately went on the lam. Shortly after, Grahams and their sympathizers laid siege to the Tewksbury camp, engaging in a shootout that lasted for hours. The ceasefire was granted Mrs. Tewksbury so she could dig shallow graves for her son, John, and his friend William Jacobs, who had been killed in the melee. Over the next few years, between 20 and 50 men from both sides were killed, often by bands of masked men, which made arrests a rarity. Wow.
huh. Yeah, I remember the big event was that standoff
Wow.
at the was it the Tewksbury cabin?
Yep. And it says here that the feud finally came to an end in 1892 when Tom Graham Jr., the last surviving member of his family, was shot and killed in Tempe by the fugitive Ed Tewksbury, the last of his clan.
Hmm.
Tewksbury was tried and convicted, but due to a technicality, his case was dismissed and he died of natural causes in 1904. The last
Wow.
sole survivor. Wow.
So I guess I guess yeah, that person I'm thinking of, that must have just been a coincidence because I guess they couldn't have been related
Yeah,
if he was the last of that bloodline.
that's crazy to think about that. To think that like you'd be so pissed at your neighbor that you're just gonna start killing him, right?
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's kind of inconceivable if just as two people talking about it, but when the blood's up and it just becomes this deep seated like rivalry, and you just feel like someone's wronged you to such a degree.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to put yourself in that situation because we've never been there to that degree.
that's true. I always think about like Walking Dead and like if the shit goes down, like people steal stuff from each other and they try to help, but at some point your
Oh yeah.
survival is paramount. So I think some of the crazy stuff that you see on there, or even just like that would never happen. But it's like
Oh,
actually you
I
can't trust your fellow man. It's kind of
oh no,
crazy.
I think that a lot of the stuff on The Walking Dead would happen, maybe minus the zombies. But if society would break down to that degree, I mean, actually, I don't know why. It's kind of morbid, but I do think about like quite a bit what would happen. I guess just with the state of the world now, and just I guess the veneer of civilization just kind of hanging on a thread, because it really is a thread if you think about it. I mean, think about what would happen if an EMP got launched over over America and we lost our whole power grid. Like, think
Yeah,
about how fast we would just devolve into chaos.
absolutely, dude. When people don't have their internet, it's crazy.
So,
It,
internet, power, heat,
yeah, I mean
that's all the
we're
food distribution network. I mean, it's all connected to the electrical grid.
it's true, man. And we, if you think about it, we don't really it is very much like dog eat dog world. Like people don't look out for each other. So people are like, oh, I got to get mine. Got to get mine, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ironically, you know, being in a huge city like this is really one of the worst places to be.
Yeah.
Because the people around you, you know, you'd want to think that your fellow man would help you out, and if there's more of you, that you'd be able to band together to affect change. But I think I think the opposite. If you were in a place like Young, where there was just, you know, relatively few people, I think you'd have a much higher chance of coming together and being able to do something collectively as a whole.
True.
Because I think in a place with this many people, it just devolve into chaos really fast.
Yeah, it's true. Do you know your neighbors? Like it do you have you ever thought about that? Like remember when we were kids, like people would go next door and be like, can I
Oh
borrow
yeah,
some sugar or I need an egg? And you'd be like, oh yeah, here you go. No, no one
yeah.
does.
I don't know hardly any of my neighbors. I mean, I sort of know my next door neighbor, but you know, you just don't really see each other that often. And yeah. It's, I mean, if I need eggs, I go to the store. So like,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it's yeah. I don't know. I always kind of chide myself about that because I wish I did know my neighbors, and I wish I did have more of that sense of community. And, but I think that actually ties into what you were talking about with having kids and raising them in a place like this. I think it really all comes back to community. And if you raise your kid in a to just be a part of communities, and it could be like different communities. Maybe it's, you know, a sports community. Maybe it's like, you know, maybe it's a church community. Maybe it's I mean, you know, my parents homeschooled a couple of us. Us, I have I have like six brothers, so my parents homeschooled like a couple of us, um, and there we had like a homeschool community where like we would get together with other homeschoolers, and this wasn't me because I was basically in public school for most of my life, but like I know in Tucson some of my younger brothers were in like homeschool groups, so they would get together and, you know, do events, and, you know, that's just another form of community, you know.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So I think just I would think just raising your kid in a place like this, you just have to find your community where you find it, you know, and I think really impress on them the value of community, because it is so important. And I mean, we're we're communal creatures, and it is very easy to kind of lose yourself in a city as big as this, and really not have a lot of like human contact and community. So you almost have to work harder in a place like this, you know, to find that.
I feel you're exactly right. Like I feel like you have to consciously choose when you're gonna like step away. Like, okay, I've got to get the noise. Like I always call it the noise. Like I have to get away from the noise of the city, even though it's not noisy, obviously, but it's more like just getting outdoors and checking out and whatnot. But you're right, man. It's like you probably never had to deal with that in young because you had the simplicity of life around you at all times. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for me, it's funny because so many of my friends in Young just hated it. They thought it was just like insanely boring, and they always wanted to like be in a big, you know, a bigger city and stuff. But I look back on it and just think like how awesome, how awesome we made it. Because I mean, like, me and my friends, we started our own community hockey team in a place like Young, which, you know, it was incredible that we actually had enough of us. There's probably like a good like 7 or 8 of us that actually like liked playing hockey enough to do it, and like create our own team, and we like drive it to Phoenix and play tournaments and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, that was kind of crazy that we were able to do that, but we, you know, we made that happen. And just for me personally, I mean, you know, I had, you know, friends and stuff I hung out with, but I was also like such a huge reader, and I loved, you know, playing like, you know, growing up playing Nintendo and PlayStation and just like kind of like losing myself in those worlds too. So I would be just like as happy as can be, just, you know. And I remember when I was a kid, like really young too, just like playing you know, playing make believe, like, you know, playing game, like playing with my brother and, you know, playing Batman or Army or whatever. And, you know, like we created these scenarios for these fantasies for ourselves. I just feel like there was a lot I did with my imagination growing up in a place like that. You know, you really have to kind of fill in. There's not a lot of like external stimulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of like had this inward thing you had to do to uh, just to, you know, energize your imagination. And um, so yeah, and I don't know. I just never, I was never resentful about growing up there. I just felt like it was a good place to flourish and, you know, develop some creativity.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's like when you are essentially flexing that creativity muscle, and I think a lot of that goes to like having a lot of siblings. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like there's more opportunities to be in community because you're surrounded by community all the time. Like I
Hmm.
feel so lucky to have had like a large family,
Yeah.
um, just because that experience of like being like nowadays you see like when I'm at a restaurant or whatnot, and you see families together and everybody's on their phone, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, to think
I
that
know.
those kids are not being like taught to like oh
Externalize.
yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's so insane. And it's like
Yeah.
you see the like uh, how you can affect change, and it's like I don't think people realize it's like, man, you're raising the next generation and you're also a part of what's going on, but I don't see how people can't tap into that. It's like it's almost to me mind-blowing. It's like there's such a huge responsibility for all of us, and I'm not even talking about kids or anything. I'm just even yourself and like what we should do for the next generation, whether you're having children or not, just being an example for to others. But along those lines, it's like stepping away and like using your imagination and all that stuff. Like you said, if an EMP hit, we'd be fucked because half of the people
Hmm.
would be like, I don't know what to do with myself, my free time. And it's like I would know immediately what I would do. I'd probably play the guitar, or I don't read as much as I should. I'll be the first to admit. Okay, I need to read more, definitely. But there are avenues and ways that I've tapped into in the past that I know how to do that, you know?
Yeah. I would almost welcome an EMP, just because then I might catch up on my huge comic collection that I am so behind on. I'm years behind on my comic and book collection.
How do you get years behind on your comics?
Just by ordering from previews every single month, the
Okay.
books you know you want to read eventually, and
Okay.
just never getting around to reading them.
Gotcha. I thought you were gonna say Assassin's Creed, uh, the new one, whatever one
Oh
you're
God,
telling me about.
Origins.
Origins.
That game is insane. Yeah, I probably, as far as like leisure stuff, I mean, I probably spend a little too much time on the video game front, because I do really like to read and, you know, watch movies and TV as well. But I'd say probably in the last couple of years, it's been more weighted towards um, uh, video games and TV shows. I'd say TV has been really good the last few years.
Okay.
Um, Comics, there's been some good comics, but it hasn't been like as good as like it was in like the middle of the 2000s. Um, and yeah, video games, man. The PlayStation 4, that generation of console has just had some. I don't know. I'm a real big sucker for huge open world exploratory type games. So yeah, you mentioned Assassin's Creed. You're basically dropped into a recreation of ancient Egypt, and it's stunningly vividly realized, and it feels like it's an entire country. Like that's how big it feels, and there's so much to do, and it's so rich, and there's so much going on. I mean, it's like really hard for me to just like not play that game because it's like, well, what am I going to see around the next corner, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. It is a balance because I don't know. I'm not one of those guys who can just play a video game for like 20 hours straight, you know? And of course, I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the guy who made AFK about video game addiction. And it's funny because watching your documentary, Greg, I just knowing me, I just know like, yeah, I can never be that. Like that's a different strain.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I have to actually have energy to play video games. You know, if
Hmm.
like I'm kind of like a little bit tired or something, I'd much rather just grab a book or watch a TV show or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't do the 20-hour marathons even like back in the day.
Yeah. It definitely is like, even sometimes when I'll have like an hour free, like sometimes Geese will go to bed early. I'm like, oh, I got some time I can do. I was like, oh, maybe I'll see if the guys are playing Destiny or something. But I'll be like, damn, that's kind of exhausting. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
you
it
have to
can be.
like, it can be, and it's fun at the same time. But then sometimes I'll play it Clash Royale on my phone, something, very simple but
Yeah.
satisfying. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is such a big part of me that's always been drawn to games. And I remember, like you were saying earlier, Nintendo. And I remember as a kid sneaking up
Oh
and,
yeah.
and like in the middle of the night, my mom would set boundaries for how much we could play.
Uh-huh.
But I would sneak up in the middle of the night and like a fucking ninja, I would just get on there and just play. I would play with no volume, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's how fucking
Oh yeah.
stupid it was. I was like, no, they'll hear me, but as long as I'm playing, it was just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
No, I was working on my mom for so many years just to get a Nintendo. Like we first had a Mac that played like the old. Do you remember like the LucasArts games,
Um, I think
like
so. Tell me
Dig and
which
Star
ones.
Wars games like Rebel Assault,
Yes.
X-Wing, Tie Fighter.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and then since we had a Mac, we were kind of limited in the games we could play, but the games that were on the Mac were the LucasArts games, which I really have a fond spot for now. Games like Day of the Tentacle, like I said, the Dig, all the Star Wars games, like Dark Forces, stuff like that. And then the other company that was always on Mac was Blizzard.
Yeah.
And I know you know what I'm talking about, like the old Blizzard games, like StarCraft 1, Diablo 1,
Yeah.
Warcraft 2. Like those games like made me a strategy gamer.
Dude, why don't
Like,
they make war? They should make another RTS, Warcraft.
well, they have StarCraft 2 out,
Yeah.
and they did that in 3 parts, and I guess that's like the closest thing, but I'm really hoping they'll do Warcraft 4.
Oh,
It
they should
just it's
totally
kind
do
of
that.
unfortunate that World of Warcraft took off the way it did because they were just like after 3, they were like, well, we're just gonna put this to the side. But they did make
Yeah,
StarCraft 2, which I guess was kind of their nod to their strategy roots.
that's true. Did you ever get into Overwatch?
Now I haven't played it.
Dude, everyone
Yeah,
talks about it. My Geese's nephew is really big into it. He's pretty good too, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. As far as like the shared like communal shooters go, I basically got sucked in by Destiny, and that's kind of the game that because one word I was going to mention earlier is when you were talking about like getting up for playing a game like Destiny, it's an investment. You know, it's a mental, physical investment, and and not only that, you have to coordinate with your friends and everything too. So it really is like you kind of have to carve some time and some energy aside to do that, and I think it's worth it, but it's just not exactly something you can always do just on a whim.
Yeah, it's true. It is satisfying, man. Like those, like I still want to do the raid, and I know I bailed on you guys, so I'm sorry. You
Oh,
guys
yes, you did.
you changed the date for me, and then I couldn't make it in the
Yeah.
end. I know, I
And you had to
apologize.
be a nice guy and take your coworker shift at
I,
work.
I covered a guy's shift at work. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I needed the hours too. To be honest, so.
Yeah.
But so sorry for boning out, but we still have to do a raid because I do miss those like World of Warcraft raid days. Those are fun. It's funny because
Yeah.
I I'm always torn because I have like a real strong need to simplify, and I think that's been such a driving force for me in the last few years that I've actually acted upon. But then there's always those hooks that call you back, like you said. The video games are so satisfying. They're so
Oh yeah.
pleasing.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah. They are something that I know I'm going to be doing my entire life. It's
Yeah.
just there. It's too. It is just too satisfying as an entertainment medium. I mean, and not only that, just growing up on like Nintendo. Just to finish that story, so I was working on my mom and dad for so long to get a Nintendo, and when I finally got, and I was always a generation behind when the Super Nintendo came out. That's when I got the regular Nintendo, and the great thing about that is all the games were out, so you could just get and you could amass a library of games just by going to like Bookman's or whatever used game store. And we had a family friend who had a regular Nintendo that she actually won in a contest, and she had like she got the whole like package with a bunch of games, and so she was one of our neighbors. Kind of, she was lived about a mile away, but I would literally walk over to her place and called her Grandma Ruth. We walked over to her place. She loved us. Like, just would hang out over there, play Nintendo, and like I just remember playing like Metroid, uh, Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it was, and I actually, it's funny if you ever come to my house and you see, I have an old CRT TV, one of the old square ones, um, and I have a system where I can play old NES games and stuff, but I also have an NES underneath that TV, and that is the NES that we played over at her place. And I still have all the games from it, and like even the zapper gun from it.
Wow.
Uh, and it doesn't work anymore, but it's just so nostalgic to have those games, and that just there to remind me. And I don't know, man. It's just it's one of those things where like I will always be so nostalgic and love Nintendo for those memories. And so yeah, we had the NES, and then when the PlayStation came out, I somehow managed to get myself a Super NES, and I had a room that was like off the back porch, like connected to the house but not connected. So yeah, I would be up in the middle of the night playing a lot of like regular Nintendo, like back in the day, and it was fantastic.
That's cool. I remember the other night the story you said about there's something about Mario that brings you peace. Can you tell? Do you remember what you were
Oh,
saying?
there is just something about those classic Nintendo characters that just really do. I think what I said is it just makes me happy. I mean, and Nintendo's just one of those companies. I mean, I think like with some people, like growing up watching like Disney movies, they have the same feelings for just the characters and just remembering, because like I mean those Disney movies were, a lot of those were really great movies, even if you go back and watch them today. And I feel the same way with Nintendo. Like a lot of those games, man. I mean, Super Mario Brothers, that game still holds up to this day. I mean, I just got a new 3DS, which is the Nintendo, one of the Nintendo handhelds, and it can play like regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. So I'm playing like Super Mario World again on it right now. And but before that, I played the original Super Mario Brothers, and that game just still holds up.
Yeah.
Like it's just great gameplay, and the characters are just great. I mean, like I remember playing the game that probably like just really just shattered my world was did you play Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past?
That's the second one, right?
No, that is God, I can't even put it in like the chronological timeline, because there was the original Legend of Zelda on NES, then there was Legend of Zelda 2,
Yep.
Link's, I think it was Link's Adventure.
Yeah, and then there's Ocarina of Time.
Then there was no, then there was A Link to the Past
Okay.
on Super Nintendo.
Okay. Okay.
And then in between those, there was a few like Game Boy and I think Game Boy Advance games, but I can't remember if the Game Boy Advance came out before the N64 did. But the Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game on N64.
Okay, gotcha.
And do you remember playing that?
I remember the first two, and the first one blew me away. I
The
loved it.
first two, meaning like the first two on regular Nintendo,
Regular
right?
Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Yeah, actually, the first Legend of Zelda probably was pretty crazy for you because it was kind of an open world that you could just explore. And but that's how I felt with Ocarina of Time, just going out on the Hyrule Field and seeing like that expanse of field in front of you, and seeing like Hyrule Castle over here in the distance, and then seeing Death Mountain over here on the other side, and then if you look to your left, you can't even see like how far it goes. You know, like at that point, I guess for me, like that was kind of my first real like sense of like, wow, I'm in an open world and I can do whatever I want. And it's great because now the games I play, I mean, mostly feed into that. I mean, like Assassin's Creed Origins, same thing. It's just far evolution of that gameplay concept. But yeah, it's not only Nintendo, but Nintendo really pioneered a lot of those concepts.
Yeah, it's true. What do you think? What do you think it is about the games that attracts you? Like, do you ever like ponder the hook or why?
I think it's I really think it's that you're able to author your own story. I mean, like when I jump into like an open world game, you decide what you want to do. You have agency over your character, and also, I mean, just if you're any, you know, kid growing up who dreamed of being like some superhero or something, I mean, those games allow you to do that.
Yeah,
And I think that's, I mean, I think that's a big draw of it. But um, yeah, I think just for me, it's just like player agency and being able to tell your own story.
yeah, I agree. I kind of like the idea that you have like there's such very clear goals and they're measurable results. So it's like even accomplishing a daily quest is like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
I did
yeah,
the daily quest. I got my bright Ingram or my
yeah,
whatever it is, and
yeah,
finished. And okay, it's like the idea of advancement. You know what I mean?
yeah. Advancement, and you do feel like you accomplished something, and it's fun. Video game companies really have been playing around with like how they psychologically tailor their games,
Mhm.
because there are people like me that when I see like a huge map full of like icons, like I want to go to all those icons and complete them. So
Mhm.
there is like a completionist thing, that there's like a completionist, itch that gets scratched for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's funny to think about, but like the evolution of where they're going to go. It's like I've actually just the other day I kind of went into my own sandbox about like 3D and like VR stuff and like all
Hmm.
like there's like you don't really see a lot of advertising around it, but like there's a lot of companies like making good virtual reality goggles are like $400. There's not a ton of games right now. I think that's probably why they're not really being
Yeah,
pushed, but
yeah.
that's
Well,
not that much money when you think about it.
no, then and there's a lot of companies dipping their toes in the water. And as the owner of a PlayStation VR, I can tell you that it is a whole different level of like immersion. You got to come over and try it sometime.
I didn't even know you
It's
had that.
Oh yeah, I have it. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
It
I would love to try
it's
that.
it's pretty crazy. It's like it is a different gameplay sensation though, because well there is something with like motion sickness, because like a lot of the games I want to play on there are like first person shootery type games. Although there are games where like they're more like experiences, and those are probably my favorite. I mean, there was like a Batman game that came out that was like you're just basically solving crimes, you know, like on a crime scene, and you're just kind of just in the crime scene, looking around, looking for clues and stuff. And then there was another one that was part of it was called, I think, PlayStation VR Worlds. You're just being lowered into the ocean in a shark cage, and that's the one I like. For anyone that hasn't seen VR before, like I usually have them just do that, because it's like the immersion of just standing there and like looking around, and you know, being in a cage, being lowered in the ocean it's pretty nuts. There's actually some really good. I mean, there was a shooter that came out called Farpoint that came bundled with a gun, like an actual like light gun that you hold, and like whatever you do, like however you hold the gun, actually hold the gun, it appears that way in the game. So that was pretty crazy, the immersion of that. I mean, like you have your goggles on and you're literally like holding your gun up, like aiming down the sights, like through your goggles with the gun. Like it's nuts.
Wow.
That's
really cool.
So there's some really cool experiences on there, and the new Resident Evil is fully VR compatible. Yeah, and I have it, and I got to admit, like I played the demo, and I am too much of a pussy to play it. Like I'm not even kidding you,
dude. Oh
like
my
I have
gosh.
yet to start Resident Evil 7, like for real, because I know I can play it in VR, and I want to play it in VR, but I'm scared to play it in VR.
We should totally get together one night and just do that, dude. Because I'll be honest with you, the Hellhounds scare the fuck out of me, bro.
Oh
Even
yeah,
in the original PlayStation game, they would jump through the windows in this hallway scene, and you had to like shoot them. And then they also had two creepers in the wall coming at you,
oh yeah.
and it was like I was having a heart attack.
You know, that game was brilliantly designed because they had fixed camera angles.
Hmm.
So you would hear things and not be able to see it, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to run around the corner, but I don't know where it's coming from, and it might be just outside the screen.
Yeah,
Like it's very dated today, but like at the time, I mean, it still is like a brilliantly designed game.
totally, totally. What was the name of the Umbrella Corporation, right?
Yeah, that was the big bad organization in that game.
I always liked
Yeah,
the Mila Jovovich movies. I thought they were entertaining.
you like those?
I gotta admit, not
Oh
like
god.
for cinematic quality or anything, but just watching them being entertained. You know, I may have been stoned for one or two of them.
Yeah. How many Resident Evil games did you actually play?
I played the first three. Me and my brother Brian played the first three.
So you beat the third one, Nemesis?
I never beat the third one,
Okay.
and I think I beat. Honestly, I don't think I beat any of them, to be honest. Like my brother would play some of it, and I would do some parts of it. But I at the time I was just too busy working. I couldn't commit to all of it. But I
Yeah.
would play it with him here and there. But
Did you play number 4?
no,
Oh man. Oh,
yeah,
I wish you would have played that one, dude. That was at the time, and really still is. I mean, you can actually buy it on PlayStation 4. They remastered it, but it is a great game still.
well,
If I would recommend any Resident Evil, actually, I would probably recommend the most recent one, 7, but it's a very different game. But Resident Evil 4 was on another level of it. It created like a new gameplay system because it wasn't fixed camera angle, and
okay,
it's more just third person, and you could kind of had a free aim. Uh, but it had a pretty crazy story. But then 7, they went first person with it. Did you know that?
no, I did not.
Yeah, but they made it very much more like personal. Like it basically takes place all in a mansion again. So yeah, and it's first person, and just imagine playing something like that in VR.
Yeah, let's do that, dude. That's gonna
Yeah,
be.
come over and come over and try it out sometime. It's
We
it's
should
pretty
do it.
crazy. Like, and the craziest thing about it is like it's really kind of the first, like I said, toe in the water for VR. I mean, just imagine where it's going to go in the future. Like, I mean, you're gonna be blown. I guarantee you're gonna be blown away by the PlayStation VR like version 1, and you're gonna be so blown away. Like, I don't know how this can get any better, but it's gonna be like insane in like 5 years where the technology is going to be.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, dude, it's gonna make it. It's funny because with that type of world, this whole conversation is going to be even more relevant. It's like, how do you make sure and find time to step out of it? Because if you can have whatever you want at the touch of a button and putting on a headset, it's like, think about the world that is created for our children and the next generation. It's like, is someone going to even want to go to Yosemite if they could just put on virtual reality goggles and just
Right,
say, oh, here's
right.
Yosemite? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to something I wanted to talk to you about, Greg, because I did want to follow up with the news with you and Geese being pregnant
Yeah, thank you, man.
officially. I want to talk
Amen.
to you about that, but if I could bring back an old standby from my old podcast,
Sure.
we started sipping on something earlier, and I'm just wondering what you're sipping on.
Well, I was sipping on Captain Morgan, but the Captain Morgan, here's the last drop.
Okay.
I finished it.
Well, I
Pretty
was gonna get
stiff.
a I was gonna get a refill because I do want to hear this your thoughts on this journey.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe
Absolutely.
we could end the podcast on that. But let me
Yeah,
grab one real quick.
do it.
Hopefully this can be edited later.
Yeah, we
But
can edit it. No sweat,
yeah,
man.
I'll
Yeah,
be right
I'll
back.
wait. Cool. Hey, baby. Baby. Geese.
All right, this is exciting for me, and hopefully you can take this opportunity to maybe take the listeners through this whole journey
Yeah,
because it has been a long, arduous journey.
it
And
has.
I can't even like really keep track of all the trials and tribulations you guys have gone through. So if you're willing to, would you mind just sharing that whole story up till now?
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. So, yeah, I've talked about it at length, and probably with some of the camping trips that I've got, it's some of it's a little disjointed because I recorded some of that stuff during the summer
Mm-hmm.
when I wasn't working. I had a little bit more free time to go out and camp, and kind of when I got inspired to do this whole thing. But over the course of the last almost 2 years, my girlfriend and I have been trying to conceive, and we just basically didn't have any luck, and we obviously had to escalate things to IVF, and IVF is in vitro fertilization, and that process involves a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, and a lot of subjecting your body. And when I see your body, I mean me a little bit, but Gisela a shitload, like drugs and
Oh yeah.
injections. In fact, even tonight we had to start a little bit later because I needed to give her another shot of progesterone. So she's been an absolute trooper through all this. Because the truth is, um, if I have to suffer, she's suffering times 10. So she's stronger than I am, and I love her for it. She's amazing. But to make a long story short, our well, actually, I've been making it long already, but but as I'll continue, the it did come to a point where for us to be able to conceive, the quality of Gisela's eggs were not good. They weren't holding up, so we had to like take the next step, which involves getting a donor.
Uh huh.
And luckily for us, we were able to find a donor who um, had great results in that with the previous round of donor egg IVF that she got a lot of yield, and she also happens to look like Gisela. So I can't even tell you,
Oh.
we got so lucky in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so uh, on the Wednesday, uh, actually it was on the 15th, or I can't remember. On the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, they did a transfer. And a few days before that, on Friday, I think it was Friday the 17th, they harvested the eggs. So they harvested and they got 29 eggs. So that's a shitload of eggs. I went to the office. I fertilized the eggs. So they basically, I give them a sperm sample. They take the sperm and they fertilize the eggs. 23 of them got fertilized. Um, and I think, yes, 19 of them matured in that
Okay.
process. So when I say mature, some of them don't progress. They reach a point and they just stop. 19 of them actually progressed to the point where they were developing and looking good. They took the best of those 19, and they took that one and they put it inside a Gisela on the day before Thanksgiving, which was the 22nd, Wednesday. And then just last night, Gisela was feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting cramps and I'm not pregnant and all this and that. So she went and bought a pregnancy test and she took it and it was positive and she's like, no
Oh
fucking
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So I of course didn't know this was going on. I know that she was a little bit anxious and I was like, babe, be positive, don't worry about it. Um, and like I said, she was being a trooper, but she was going through all this and not she told me a little bit about it, but she was kind of like not telling me the whole story. But then I got home and she's like, hurry up, take a shower, take a shower. I'm like, all right, I'm taking a shower. She's like, come on, I got you a gift. And I had no clue what it was. So it was like wrapped and had a bow on it and like in Christmas paper. And so I was like, oh, you didn't have to get anything for me. Because like right now, IVF is so expensive. It's like we're trying to like be economical and not spend money. So I'm like, let's not go crazy this Christmas, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I opened the box and it's a macaroni and cheese box. When I open it, I'm like, what the fuck is this? So then I open it and then there's toilet paper stuffed in, and then there's a pregnancy test and it says positive. So I was like, oh my
Oh man,
God.
did you guys lose it?
Oh man, I lost it. I'll be
Tear
honest,
shed?
like you would think, and I'm an emotional dude. Like I'm very in touch with like I went and saw Coco today, and I was crying in Coco right at the end of it. It's a fantastic movie. But honestly, sitting on the couch with Gisela, I felt a sense of peace and like relief more
Yeah.
so than like even I was so happy and so joyful. I felt like yes. And it was more about like I think I yelled. I was like yes. I yelled in her ear a couple times. So it was more like a rage of joy, and it was like I literally got choked up, but I wasn't misty. I just felt like so like victory. You know what I mean? I don't know,
Nice.
but I
Because
could tell you.
you are
Go
a
ahead.
guy that's been known to openly weep.
I am one to openly weep. Absolutely, I am very comfortable crying,
I
and I think
remember, I can't remember what movie it was, but I just remember we walked out of it and Greg was just like, I don't mind saying I openly wept.
yeah. I don't. What movie was that? Oh
I
my
can't
god.
remember, but I just remember that line. I was like, that's Greg.
Oh man, I
What a
tell you
central
what,
Greg.
dude. I tell you what, I was crying in Coco. I just saw Coco, and I was like crying. It just
Yeah.
you got to see that movie. It's fantastic, bro.
Yeah, it's
It's
been a while since I've
amazing,
seen a Pixar movie.
dude. Go see it in 3D, whatever you do. But
Yeah.
but
Oh, I hate
going
3D.
back to the baby thing, it's like it was such a sense of relief, and I can't even tell you. I feel like this like cloud is lifted, and I feel
Yeah.
like there's just like hope, and we're pregnant. We fucking did it. 2 years down the
Yeah.
road, spent a
Yeah.
lot of money, a lot of fucking tears and emotion and everything. So I know
Yeah.
Geese is super relieved, and very, I'm very excited about the future, man. I think a lot of what I'm doing in my life now is kind of in that whole preparatory mode. You know what I mean? It's like because
Yeah.
I think your mind just takes a little twist when
Right.
things get going.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really excited, man, and that's why I really wanted to know about like your background in young because it's like I think I do want to try to provide that upbringing, that simplicity, that wholesomeness. You know what I mean? That connectivity, that community feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. First off, I just want to say, like, that's amazing, and I am so happy for you guys, and I just want to congratulate you, because that's like the most exciting thing
Thanks, man.
that maybe has ever happened to you. I mean, when you really think about it.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think I'll look back
Um,
at it and I'll say like, wow. Like actually I already know that I'm different. I since we've been trying to conceive, I feel like I've been different. And I can feel that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel, you could definitely move to some place like Young and kind of get an experience kind of forced on you. But I do, maybe I'm wrong, who knows, like until I actually experience it, but I do kind of feel like you can kind of set these things in your favor, even living in a city like this, and just doing, I don't know, man, just doing, just, just raising your children in a way where, I mean, you have a program, you raise them in the way that, I don't know, I feel like it's possible uh, to uh, to do that, and even in a city as big as this, to find, that community and that connection. And I really feel like, I mean, um, it's so important in, today's world, like just tying back to what we were talking about earlier. I mean, good parenting is going to be so important to have your kid just not fall into that, iPhone world, of that insular, you know introverted world. And you just, as a parent, you're really just going to have to make an effort to pull them out of that and introduce them to the wide world, the open world, that and the experiences in that world that they're not going to get from their phone. um and those are, and by the way, those are going to be the things that stick with them, that they remember. It's not that, like, I mean, hey, and I'm saying that as someone who just talked about playing NES for the first time, and how that stuck with me. But those experiences of playing sports, and I mean, those are just as vivid and even more so, really. But like, just the connections you have, and I would say, like, as I was talking about, like with my hockey team and growing up with them, I mean, that was one thing. And then having all the homies from Tucson, man, I feel like sometimes I feel like some of the details kind of escape me in life when I'm trying to remember, like those families in the feud. Like I that leaked out so long ago, but the the emotion and memories of just connecting with my friends in Young, my friends in Tucson, those communities that I was able to interact with, those are the things that kind of like stay with you. So I think you can do that wherever you live. You just have to be a little. I think you just have to be a little bit more vigilant, probably, being in a
Absolutely.
place like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think you definitely can do it. And I'll be honest, like I said, moving out here and having been here a year now, I see how that can be done. I see like I'm only an hour away from the mountains, and then there's other towns in between, and like, oh yeah, this is a cool town. Wrightwood is cool. Julian is cool. All these different like little things that can be accomplished to maybe a get the benefits of the big city, the community that you might want on a regular basis, but then being able to choose both, and then obviously offer both, because if you're offering both, then I think you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just be honest. Eventually, we're all going to move to Big Bear, so
Yeah. No shit.
we'll
I love that idea.
group of cabins, our cluster of cabins together, and that'll be what it is.
The Galaxy Place compound.
Yeah. It's funny, our mutual friend Matt, he would talk about that as I think he was half serious, half joking. But that honestly does not sound like it's something I don't want to do. I mean, just thinking, like, if I was in a little community, like there is a lot of people that I can think of who I would want to live with a lot less than these guys. I mean, I could totally see myself living with all of us, just like in a little community somewhere someday. Maybe it's after we're all retired, but I would totally love that, man.
Did I ever send you that article about those friends that they started their own town, and each of them is like, one's the mayor, one's the sheriff, all this
Oh
stuff?
no.
I gotta send it to you. My buddy
How big's
Ike.
the town?
I think it's only like 60 people. I'll have to look
Okay.
it up, but I'll try to find the article. My buddy Ike sent it to me, and then I sent it to Matt, and then I was like, this does
Oh,
sound like a good
jeez.
idea. So yeah, too
Oh
funny.
man. Yeah, that probably just inspired him more.
No shit. No shit.
Well,
Well,
that's awesome, man. You got
yeah.
any other wisdom you want to share?
No, man. I feel like we had a good chat, dude. I feel like I know you
Yeah,
better, man. I'm
yeah.
glad we did this. I
There's
really
definitely some
do.
more definitely some more stuff we can talk about. Maybe I can come on another time. But yeah, this we covered the gamut pretty well.
Yeah, and we're gonna do this. Keep in mind, we're gonna do this like my intent. Like, I want to do like at least right now. I'm doing about 2 campfire things a month, but
Hmm.
I'd love to do one-on-one trips with everybody camping. I think like, and not saying that there's anything wrong about what we're doing here, but just being outdoors, it is just there's something there. There's something
Oh
special,
yeah.
something magical. But I realize you can't always do that. So that's like I'm that's why we're delving into this world. And thank you so much for teaching me how to do this.
Oh yeah. No, I'm really glad I'm teaching myself too, because like I said, not to announce anything on this show, but I may be launching something very soon that I'm pretty excited about, and you actually had a hand in. And if and when I do launch it, I will give you all the credit. But until then, I'm glad I'm figuring this out for myself, because I think the format that I want to do is over. Um, it is going to be remote, because I want to have it be like a 4-person thing.
Yep.
So it's just too hard to get everyone together every time.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well,
Yeah.
dude. Well, thanks so much for spending the night with me, man. And
Yeah, dude.
yeah, I really
I'm
enjoyed
I'm
this.
just I'm honored that I got to be here the day after the big news. So
Yeah.
yeah, congrats again, man.
So when are we got to get camping, dude. So I know it's going to be getting into the cold time, but
Yeah.
I think a Joshua Tree trip is going to be in order coming up because you
Oh
can go
yeah.
out there. It's perfect. It's not freezing. You can still camp out there. It's cold at night, but I think that would
Yeah.
be something to keep your ears peeled for, or to
Give me
keep your
some warning, because I am, if nothing, I like to plan the going out of town stuff. But give
okay.
me some warning, and I am down. Like I said, and my girl is ready to camp.
Okay, your body is ready.
My body is ready. You know where I got that quote?
I do.
Which
No,
was,
where
of
did you get
course,
it?
made famous on my 30th birthday in Vegas, but we won't talk any more about that right now. I got that quote from the president of Nintendo,
Okay.
Reggie Fils-Aimé. I think that's how you say his last name. Yeah, that was a famous famous memeable quote of his from back in the day.
Hmm.
Yes, my body is ready.
And why was his? What was he?
I don't even remember. It's just like a famous, like, he was like really excited about something, and he was on video with some fans, and they're like, "Are you ready?" He's like, "My body is ready."
Oh wow.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know, but it
I
was it
love
was a
it.
great quote.
Well, next time you will have to get you more sauce, then you can tell the whole story of your 30th birthday. We'll save that for
Oh
another time.
man, yeah, we should tell that story at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely some more. I'm gonna need more than 2 drinks though.
Amen, brother. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. So happy to partake in the wisdom.
Peace. All right, we'll end it there, but
All right.
dude, nice work, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for
It's good.
opening up and telling me about. I didn't know all that stuff about your you know
About what?
growing.
Growing up in Young?
Yeah, obviously I knew it was like cool, chill place and like that, but I guess we just honestly didn't never.
Yeah,
Can't even remember last time I talked to you for 2 hours.
it's so funny because one story I do want to come back on, because one story I love about you was driving back to Tucson in Comic Con 2007.
Okay.
We were all like, dividing up into cars to go back to Tucson, and there's whatever, like 2 or 3 cars going back to Tucson, and you were one of them, and I had stayed with you at the hotel with Matt and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah.
and for I don't even remember why. I just remember like you were going, and I was like, oh, I want to leave now, and so you're like, oh, you can come with me. So me and you drove back to Tucson. I don't know if you remember that trip,
I totally remember that. I
but
totally Forgot
dude,
about that though.
in
Wow.
that trip, like I connected with you so hard in that trip because it was like, whatever it was, like a 5 hour trip.
Yeah.
And dude, it went by like so fast, you know? I like barely knew you before that trip. And I feel like I knew you so well, and like I was like, man, Greg is the fucking coolest dude.
Oh, thanks, dude. I remember
After
we talked a lot about video games. I remember that.
we talked about video games, we
Yeah.
talked about like music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of shit. We talked about
Yeah.
comics.
And it's funny because I think I played a lot of like Alice in Chains and music that I was playing. You're like, yeah, I fucking love this too.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah, we're
some
both
Iron,
in a rock.
I had some Iron Maiden in there actually. I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That probably got me all excited. Uh, and then oh shit, yeah. And what was I gonna say? Well, for sure, I got to get you on uh, Pixels and Panels.
There you go.
Actually, dude, I don't know. I almost feel like I should have you on the first episode, the inaugural episode,
I'd love
because
to,
it
man.
would be a
Let me
great
know.
story to introduce like how the show is named.
Okay. Yeah, and then we can talk about video games, and that'd be fucking
And
awesome.
comics.
Dude, we could do it with playing Resident Evil 7.
Oh shit. Well,
Or
I
afterwards
feel
or post.
yeah, you know what you should do actually? Maybe we could replay it, but so in anticipation for playing Resident Evil,
Yeah.
there's actually a demo on the PlayStation Store.
Okay.
It's called the Beginning Hour.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about that, just play it at some point over in December. It's free.
Okay.
It's like a it's just a self-contained little thing, and it's not even in the final game, but it just has like an environment that you explore,
Okay.
and it's also available in VR, which is how I might play it again too, so we could talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, actually, I think the video game part of it's gonna be pretty easy because everyone's like been playing something, or we could always talk about something. It's gonna be the comics part that I'm gonna have to pull some teeth with.
Yeah, maybe. But
Yeah.
maybe you don't have to do both on each one. Maybe you go back and forth, We're gonna
Well, I feel like that's kind of the idea of the show, though.
Yeah.
I mean, even if comics are briefly touched on, like I feel like I need to touch on comics.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
pixels and panels, Greg.
Yeah, that's true.
Overall.
True.
You are the one that had that great idea. So
Yeah, I think it's a good name, man.
yeah, it is a good name. I think I'm gonna do that that Squarespace
Yeah,
thing that Nick does,
totally.
because it's all in one. Like you get the website and you get the podcast hosting for like 150 a year.
Yeah, it's cheap, dude.
Like
It's cheap.
that's cheaper than doing Libsyn.
It is.
And then doing like, I have like a Weebly subscription, and then like the GoDaddy subscription is pretty cheap, but it's still, it's like an all-in-one thing.
Yeah,
So I got to talk to Nick about that.
You can't go wrong, dude. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think we're all kind of getting into this world. It's fun, man. It's cool thing about it is it's very liberating because you end up you're talking about things, but you're also in many ways um, it's like journaling. It's like you're essentially doing an audio journal. And I think when you reflect on yourself and your experience and everything, you're more likely to be aware of where you're going because you're talking about where you're going. So I think it's a
Mhm.
good thing for everyone.
Well, you know what I think's funny about this whole thing is if I start doing pixels and panels like full time, and weekly or whatever, and you're doing Campfire Wisdom and Nick's doing Gone Fishing, it would be interesting to see like which podcasts, like if any, take off.
Totally.
Like
Did you
it's
hear Nick's last one from New Orleans?
oh, that's great, dude. Captain Kenny,
Oh my
that
God.
dude is a
It
fucking
was,
character.
dude,
I love that. I was texting him when I was like listening to it, and just like, dude, I want to be on this boat with you right now.
his whistling,
Yeah.
I was
Oh
fucking,
yeah.
I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Dude, and the audio was pretty good, man, for like
Yeah.
running around on a boat.
remember he was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he just kept whistling, and I was like, God, it just hooked me, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, that guy was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm liking all the podcasts, man. It's kind of inspiring. Yeah, I just hope. I really just hope like my goal with this one, because obviously like it's pretty easy to just talk about this stuff for me,
Yep.
and I like the idea of kind of keeping it like topical in that with like everyone brings something from the news, like in not from the news, but just the nerd news
Yeah.
that we can. Everyone brings one story. We talk about that, and then talk about what we've been playing, and then what we've been reading, and it's such an easy format to hit every week. And like doing this remotely and stuff, like it's easy to just get together,
Yep.
hopefully.
Yep.
Um, but I kind of want to set it up so like it's like every Thursday
Yeah.
we record, and like
That's cool.
that's the time I'm recording. So like if you can't do Thursday, like I'm gonna have somebody else on.
Yep.
Um, and and I feel like pretty much all of us can be drawn from like all like that pool of people that I know, like all you guys, and then like some of my other friends and stuff. Like I should be able to pull 3 or 4 people in every week,
Totally.
I
And
would think.
I think Ian would be a good foil. Not every time because he's well, I don't know, maybe because you guys have good chemistry, you know? I think you guys would.
Yeah, if I'm hosting, like I can kind of keep Ian in the on the right track.
Yeah.
He likes to veer off and shit, but I'll kind of yank him back on the path a little bit.
And he's got a
Uh,
lot to say about like even all the stuff about the Destiny 2
oh my
DLC. He's got a
god!
lot of input on that.
By the way, when you said something about the live stream yesterday, like this morning, it was like
Yep.
9:30. I just closed my eyes and just waited for the onslaught. Just like, okay, Ian's gonna be texting about this for the rest of the day now. It's just like
Yep.
poking the bear.
I know.
Poke the bear, and
I
you just
realized
don't know what you've unleashed.
well, I realized that he is a wealth of knowledge, and actually, I learned a lot from what he had to say because I ended up
Oh yeah,
looking up some other articles, and now combined with what he said, it made a lot of sense.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. There's like literally entire subjects now that Destiny being one of them that I just I don't even bother looking up stuff anymore. I just talk to Ian. That's my database,
Yeah,
that I get
totally,
to.
totally. Cool,
Yeah.
man. Well, what do you got
So,
planned tonight? You do anything else?
uh, Mr. Alberto's hit me up.
Oh, hit up the rustic.
Yeah, might do that.
Yeah,
I'm not working tomorrow, so it's kind of easy to hit the bar when you're not working the next day.
yeah. I gotta work tomorrow. I might do a couple, play some games. Oh, I'll probably play. I think I'll just probably play some Clash Royale. I don't know if I'm, like you said, ready for the Destiny investment at this time.
What else are you playing besides Destiny? See, by the way, this is going to be the stuff I'm asking on the podcast. Like, I want to know what you're playing, but also what you're thinking about playing.
You know, I'm like a, I'm a serial monogamist even in the video game realm, dude. I don't really bounce back and forth a lot. I stick to
Oh,
one.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm totally the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm playing games on 3DS, on Switch. Uh, I'll play Destiny whenever, sometimes now, not as often, but if people are on, I'll play. Obviously, I've been playing the hell out of Assassin's Creed. I just got this game called Neo.
Okay.
It's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. It's oh man, I want to have a whole conversation like about like Dark Souls, that type of game, on the podcast sometime.
Okay.
I just want to talk to you guys about like that type of game, how you feel about like the difficulty. Uh, what I mean, it'd be great if you guys actually played some of those games, but
I would if you were saying, "Hey, check this out." Like Dark Souls is like Diablo, right?
no,
No? Okay.
no. It's I mean, it's the setting is kind of similar. It's kind of like medieval fantasy,
Okay.
but Dark Souls. When you say like it's a Souls game, that's like refers to like an actual type of gameplay experience. Um, Dark Souls is like a third person action Third person. It's a third person action game.
Okay.
Okay, but have you ever played like Devil May Cry?
Oh, I don't. It sounds familiar, but I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, there's like action games where it's very arcadey and very like it's very just it's fat, super fast and um, whatever. And like Devil May Cry takes a lot of skill. Like it's a hard game, but Dark Souls is all about patience. Uh, it's not a fast game. Like you, and it's basically like every encounter you have is meaningful. Like you may be fighting some like lowly ass foot soldier, but if you just kind of like get cocky or like are looking ahead, like he'll kill you because like you can you can lose like half of your health in one hit. It's that type of game. So you just have to take like every encounter seriously, and you die a lot. You die a ton.
Okay.
But this game Neo, it's not a Dark Souls game. It's not made by that company, but it's like a feudal Japan setting. So you're playing as a samurai who is like an actual like historical figure named William. He was a white guy, but he was actually a historical like guy who was in Japan and became a samurai. But it's very like Dark Souls, and I don't know. Neo's a little different than Dark Souls, but it's very similar. Like you have like a huge level or a huge area that you work your way through, and every time you kill a guy, you get like in Dark Souls, it's called souls that you build up, and once you have like 1,000 souls, you can take it to a shrine and turn them in to level up. So it's an action RPG, really. It is an RPG because you're leveling up, you're putting points into different attributes. But when you die, you like if you have like 10,000 souls, you'll lose all your souls.
Oh.
But you have a chance to go back to your body one time to go back to your body, grab all your stuff back.
Uh-huh.
And if you get killed on the way there, everything's gone. You lost those 10,000 souls.
Wow.
So it's like it's pretty much like brutally difficult, but you just play it in a different way because you have to just be patient and like look for your opportunities and just play smart and like play in a tactical way. And I don't know, man, I've really like started to love those games in the last like few years. So that one's called Neo. But there's also Dark Souls, and there's also the makers of Dark Souls did a PlayStation 4 exclusive called Bloodborne. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that.
Yeah, that game is fucking insanely good. I played a ton of it. I haven't beat it, but played a shit ton of that game. So I'd probably recommend that one if you're going to play any of those type of games.
Okay.
Bloodborne, but yeah.
I heard that I heard a lot of good things about that actually. I remember.
Yeah, you know what? You should actually, dude. You should check the sales, like the Christmas sales and stuff, because even if you're not intending to play it right now, it'll probably be the best deal you're going to get on it for like months. So even if you think you're going to play it in like next year sometime, just pick it up.
Okay.
Because like the complete edition's out now, so you could get it in. Or if Neo's on sale too, I'll let you know, because I think that would be another. I wouldn't recommend you play Dark Souls, but I would recommend you play Bloodborne or Neo.
Neo's the samurai one, right?
Yeah, Neo's the samurai one. So if either of them are on sale, I'll let you know.
Let me know about Neo. Or yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, you can get actually on Amazon. You can get the complete edition of Neo for $40 right now.
Okay.
That has all the DLC. Actually, I got that for Chris for Christmas.
Nice.
It's gonna be funny because like I'm gonna try to teach Chris how to play this game when I'm there, and I'm gonna have to like tell him like, all right, this is how you play this game. You can't play this game like all crazy running around. You have to like be patient and And the reason I got it is like you can actually play it 2-player.
Oh wow.
You have to do like when you're playing through the game, you have to use these like summoning things that you earn in the game to like summon a friend or someone else in. But you can also like just play a level 2-player, like after you've beaten it, I think. So it'll be a fun co-op game.
Yeah, that sounds cool, man.
Yeah.
Co-op games.
So I'll let you go. I'll let you know.
Do it. Well, I think I might make another cocktail actually, and then play some Clash here, man.
Play some Clash.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sir.
Dude, great time tonight, man.
Yeah, man. Good time. Like I said, I enjoyed it, and it was an honor.
Yeah, I guess see you tomorrow. Are you going to Matt's thing?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow then.
Did he say where he wants to go?
Rustic.
It's the right place, man.
That's the right place to be, right?
It's the right place. It's the right place.
Yeah.
When all the bartenders are in your corner, or at least the ones that matter, it's the right bar to go to.
Well, we'll see if I wonder if Myra's coming. Yeah, she's going.
I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how early Myra gets Matt to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I love about my girl? I realize this is being recorded, so this better not be used against me. But I love like my girl. Like, I'll be at the bar and she knows like I don't have to work tomorrow or something. And I'm hanging out with my friends, but she's tired. She'll be like, "All right, I'm gonna Uber home."
Yeah.
But there's no judgment. Like, you need to come home with me. It's just like, all right, you guys have fun. I'm gonna Uber home. And she's like sincere, you know?
Yeah, that's when you're dating a woman versus a girl.
Yeah.
Yep. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your girl. She's cool, dude. I dig her.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
So, all right, man. Well, tell Alberto I said what up.
All right, cool, brother.
All right, man. See you tomorrow.
Leave and call.
Amen.
Thank you, Greg.
Love you, bro.
Greg, rest as you can. Love you too, bro.
Hey.
Later.
Later.